We got to dive deep. Hashtag Ask Andy coming up. And also, of course, the Parlay Party. We got some wild bets coming for you. I want to hear from you. Let's get the show started.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara. The sickest Cleveland Browns podcast.
Chubb runs, he's to the 10, 15, he's to the 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. There goes Chubb, he's to the 30, 20, 10, 5, touchdown, Chubba Lubba Hub.
It's gonna be sick.
Hello, everybody. Week 9 is here already. This is, I think, technically the halfway point of the NFL season now, right? With the extra game and the trade deadline coming up Tuesday. There's names flying all over the place. What are we going to do there for fantasy football and real life possibilities? I wonder for the Browns how much today's game makes an impact to Andrew Berry and the Browns for the trade deadline. Multiple reports coming in, and we've expected from the Detroit Lions and other teams for Zadarius Smith. If you win today, I would think if you're Andrew Berry, you want to keep this unit together. If you lose and you're 2-7, do you try to get something for Zadarius Smith with in mind? Well, what's worth giving up for? Like a 5th round pick, I don't care. Keep him. So what? Another 5th rounder? Like I know you can use it as chips to move up in the draft potentially, which can be useful. But unless it's a 3rd round pick, for a 3rd rounder, I'd probably do it. I'd probably do it for a 3rd rounder. But unless you win today, then I'd say all bets are off. Because Smith has been playing better. Because then if you take him out of the equation, you're down really to Obo. Alex Wright is already out for the season. Isaiah McGuire is flashed, I like, but you're into a lot of ifs. So if you trade Smith, that's a sign that you're kind of giving up on the playoffs. And while still a long shot, there's still a chance. Still a chance. Going to have my guy from the Fantasy Football Expo. I met him a couple years ago, Fernando Geronimo, host of SportsTimeHQ, in a few minutes to get into all your fantasy football start sits questions. This is a tricky week. There's a ton of injuries. Like Zach Moss is going to miss out. DK Metcalf, there's running back. You might be scrambling. Zeke Elliott's gone. Dalvin Cook, sneaky start perhaps. We'll get into that a little bit later on. Get your questions in using hashtag Ask Andy. You can put it right there in the chat, in the live YouTube stream there. Of course, click subscribe, notifications on, leave a comment. Let us know, what are your fantasy football questions? What are your betting questions? We'll have the Parlay Party, and make sure you're subscribing on X, on Twitter, at SickPodBrowns, at AndyMC81s. I have my post-game reactions, Parlay Party, best bets, fantasy tip, all that good stuff there, and Instagram and TikTok at AndyMCSports. So from the trip to Cleveland, I was back. From the Tuesday show, remember, we had Chris Statlander on from All Elite Wrestling, had the show in Cleveland, the big AEW Dynamite Fright Night. I went down there with my son. We had a tremendous time. Statlander won, by the way. Great card. So thank you very much to John Schneider and the folks at AEW for that very, very exciting experience. That was very cool. Got to go to Cleveland twice within 3 weeks. Gotta love that. Ate at the Clevelander. Had an awesome time. And you got to check this shirt out for my guys at Cleveland Whiskey. How about that? Browns colors, Cleveland Whiskey. And they gave me this on the trip. You'll notice the balls. I've sampled a little bit. The Magic Rabbit. I absolutely love it. I'm going to do a video in a few days or something on a nice little simple cocktail. This is a perfect post-Halloween fall to dessert. It's delicious. ClevelandWhiskey.com. The tours are opening up at the distillery, the new spot in the Flats. Great spot. And of course, Magic Rabbit and all the tremendous Cleveland whiskey options are all right there. Let's get into this Browns game here. And we'll talk some fantasy football. I am very intrigued with this game. And probably the most interesting game from a question and what if and what are we going to see standpoint that we've seen since week 1 for the Browns. Really? Because week 1 was, all right, what's this new offense, Ken Dorsey? What are we going to look like here? How's it going to look? And this week, it's okay. Jameis Winston came in, AFC Offensive Player of the Week, got the Nickelodeon slime, eating the W's. But what do we have now? Jameis Winston, he got away with a few, and so did Lamar Jackson, in fairness, right? On interceptions, not caught. Now going up against the LA Chargers, and under Harbaugh, this defense is stingy. Like they're only allowing, I believe it's 13 points a game average Yeah, fewest in the league, 13 a game. He's going old school smash mouth. He'll run it. He'll pound the rock. What does this do for a Browns defense with the linebacker situation? And some good news right off the top. Denzel Ward will play. So concussion protocol, he's out of it. Denzel Ward will play. That is very important. Chargers pretty thin at receiver, but you got a few options, right? Ladd McConkey, especially the rookie, who I loved coming out. He's been real good. And Justin Herbert, that high ankle, getting more confident. And here's an interesting stat here. Since the first couple games of the season, the Chargers ran for 135, 131 rushing yards. They were second overall in rushing the first part of the season. Now, as Harbaugh is starting to give Herbert more responsibilities and have him throw the ball a bit more, now we saw the running game go from second to 20th, and the passing game has risen from 31st to 23rd. But they do offer a fullback option to pound the ball if they suspect weakness on the defense. And I think that's going to be tested big time today because of the thinness at linebacker. JOK, the neck, not going to be life-changing or anything, which is tremendous, but he's been put on IR. So he's out at least 4. Jordan Hicks still out, 5th straight game he's missing. So now we look at where we're at linebacker-wise for the Browns. We have Mohamed Diabate, who's popped. I do like him, but this is a raw rookie. Harbaugh's going to test him. Then you got Winston Reed, who by all accounts is just an absolute smash-mouth tackler. We need him. Along with Devin Bush and Jim Schwartz, defensive coordinator for the Browns, said Nathaniel Watson, who I really like that pickup in the offseason. We haven't had a chance to see too much of him. I think Watson is a very good pickup, and he can tackle hard too. So that linebacker group is going to be tested. I would expect Harbaugh to go at that Browns defense early to test. And if they can hold up, then that's where they might have to go to the air more. I think we'd be a little more comfortable potentially. So things to keep in mind there. JOK out, IR, Denzel back in. But what do we expect out of famous Jameis against that defense? Do we have another no interception day? I hope. I can't remember who said it, but they said Winston is always good for 4. A combo of 4 of something. Either 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 2-2, 3-1. Last week he was 3-0, and the confidence is running. Like I said, it's fun again to be a Browns fan, to watch this team. It's fun. There we go in the chat here. Jump in on the chat on YouTube. Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara. Gary said Devin Bush will have to step up. Absolutely, Gary. You're right. Yep, that whole linebacker crew. Diabate's going to have to do it. Bush, I think we're going to see a lot of rotation. I don't know too much about this Winston Reed, but like I said, from what I'm hearing, he is an absolute thumper. I want to see some Nathaniel Watson. And then Rick, T-Wolf in the house. Rick, how are you, buddy? Thunderwolf, get those fantasy football questions in, Browns questions in. We'll answer those in just a couple of minutes here. And we'll look at all the fantasy football start-sits options. So my prediction for this Browns game, probably a little bit more low scoring, I think. I was just feeling, I thought the Browns could very well get to 20-something points. I hope they do, or more. But I'm feeling kind of like a 17-14 type of thing. 17-14, 17-16, like really close. The line is 1.5. It's at home. Bye week coming up. Browns need to win this game to keep any hope of the playoffs alive. And I think we can keep the story going. Yeah, Joe Flacco did it last year. He's starting in Indianapolis. What do we do? And maybe we get to slap some more stadium mustard on another dub. Another Jameis Winston dub. We're going to pop the mustard on him. We're going to eat the dub from Stadium Mustard. Our guys there from ballparks to backyards and everywhere in between. Stadium Mustard is a smooth but spicy mustard, rich in taste and tradition. Stadium Mustard is real and organic, not manufactured. Available at the Browns Stadium, Guardians Minor League, and Northwoods League. I had it in Cleveland last week as well. Hey, I was at the Cleveland there. They had this year, had it on a bacon cheeseburger. It's all over the place. You can order it, get it. And next week on Tuesday's show, going to do a little giveaway. Stadium Mustard. Going to do a shirt giveaway. Okay? There's red and black. Tremendous shirt. I love it. Our guys at Stadium Mustard, we're going to do a shirt giveaway for the Stadium Mustard on the show Tuesday. So stay tuned to that. All right. Oh, Rick saying in the chat, how healthy is Nick Chubb today? Rick, he is looking, by what I'm hearing, reading, seeing from my people, my contacts, as well as just the general media, he's looking good and he's feeling good and he's ready to take that next step. This is the third game back. He said he's feeling more and more comfortable each game, each week, each practice. So Nick Chubb is good to go. Now, would I start him in fantasy? Easing him back in. It might be a tough go in fantasy today, but depends on the options you have. Like for me, I was super thin in one of my leagues. I had a guy on bye. I had Zach Moss who's not going to play, so I had to pick up Dalvin Cook. That was the best option. So if you have between Dalvin Cook and Nick Chubb, play Nick Chubb. And under Jameis Winston, remember, this is going to be more of that system, the play action that this team has thrived in. With Ken Dorsey calling plays, Ken Stefanski, it doesn't matter. So I'm feeling pretty good about Nick Chubb. I would say not, real life wise, I like it. I would kind of wait for a breakout game. But if you're thin, if you're in trouble, at least he's going to get starter reps. We're thinking that the snap count went up to 16, or the touches rather. And I'm hearing probably, in the 18 to 20 range. So each week a little bit more. And it just takes him to bust one or get in the end zone, right? So Nick Chubb, possibility, keep that in mind. All right, let's bring in my guy. He's coming to us from Denmark, international, host of SportsTimeHQ. It's my guy, Fernando Geronimo, who I met a couple years ago at the Fantasy Football Expo. He's been on the show before. Fernando, how are you, buddy?
You know what? I'm doing great. Last time I was here, I didn't have a mustache, and I went to London in between our shows, and I went to the London games.
Oh, did you? You actually went to the London games?
I did. I went to the Jaguars-Bears game.
Oh, what? So how was that experience?
I tell you, it is a experience that you have to go to. I mean,
really?
The environment is just amazing. I wore my Patriots jersey, and I was like, Patriots jersey. It's not a Patriots game.
Yeah,
didn't matter. I saw all 32 jerseys within 45 minutes of being there. I was keeping track. But it was a great time.
So it's more. So over there, it's more of the experience of being at an NFL game, not the game itself. Is that fair?
Yeah, I would say so. I think everyone's just there to have a good time and enjoy the atmosphere that they have there.
Interesting. And they're doing more and more games, as we know. There's talk maybe in the future of a Super Bowl or whatever. Who knows?
Yeah.
What stadium was it at?
This was at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Right, and that's one. Like, do you know the capacity? That's like over 80, isn't it? That's a big one.
I want to say it's up there. It's up there.
Yeah.
I mean, there was one end zone that it just went like up, and it was just a bunch of seats just wouldn't
up
stop.
Forever.
Yeah.
Wow. Literally. Really? That's awesome. Good. I'm glad you got to experience that. I want to do one of those international games. That seems like a bucket list thing to do.
Oh my God. Great to check it off.
So Fernando, let's get to some of this. There's a lot going on. Checking, we're keeping the things up to date here. Let's go through some of the injuries first, react to that. We'll get to some of the questions, get them in. Hashtag Ask Andy on Twitter, at AndyMC81, at SickPodBrowns, at SportsTimeHQ. You can get your questions in there. Let's check a little updates here, injury-wise. Okay. So we have, Anthony. Hey, you know what? This makes a huge impact. We knew this, not injury, but Joe Flacco starting for the Colts. Anthony Richardson for the future, Fernando. A stupid move. You got to see what you have in Richardson. But fantasy-wise, this is good news for Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, and everybody else, right?
Yeah, I mean, I love the move to Joe Flacco personally. As an organization, maybe not so good because you draft him so high. But yeah. I mean, coming into the season, I said Anthony Richardson was going to be the biggest quarterback bust of the year because he was being drafted as a QB5. Yeah, I just thought that was way too high for him. I love Joe Flacco, and if he's starting, give me Josh Downs and Michael Pittman all day to start. I'm
totally with you. It's a case where he just slings it, man. And we saw it in Cleveland last year. He slings it. So we're feeling good about that. Jordan Love listed as questionable for Sunday due to a groin injury, is expected to start, but you have to pay attention 90 minutes before. So it is a bit risky. Packers running back Josh Jacobs listed as questionable, is expected to play as well. That's big. I am very skittish, Fernando, about Jordan Love in this Packers because if you go from Jordan Love, it goes to Malik Willis, and they've won games and they've managed him well. But boy, man, that really kills any Jaden Reed, Romeo Doubs upside, right? That makes me, and with groin injuries like a hammy, you can start the game. You get one little tweak, you're out.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. I mean, I was getting a lot of questions about Jordan Love, and I think there was one question where it was Jordan Love or Bo Nix, and I'm starting Bo Nix over Jordan Love because
Wild.
of yeah, I know. Imagine talking about that.
I know.
I love Jordan Love. Don't get me wrong, but it's the
Yeah.
brain injury that's the concern. He was do not practice and then limited for the whole entire week. Like you said, he could start the game and then end up leaving the game with an injury. I think if Josh Jacobs ends up being healthy, I think you have to start him. And if Jordan Love, he's just my only concern. If you have another quarterback, go and start the other quarterback, depending on who it is.
Yeah, you mentioned Bo Nix. How about your guy Drake May? Fantasy gold. He's back from the concussion.
I didn't expect it.
Behind that offensive line, me neither. And in fantasy, of course, we don't care how they get him. We just want the points. And Drake May,
exactly.
Fantasy, light it up. I have him on, I think, like 3 of my teams, and I'm starting him in one of my leagues over Jordan Love for the exact same reason. He's good. He makes it happen.
He's really good. And for fantasy purposes, I mean, he could be a league winner if he consistently stays the way he's going.
Yep. And this is a tough matchup today defensively. I honestly don't really think it matters that much. He just makes things happen from the fantasy point side, right? So,
but we need to lose. But we need to keep losing.
You want the high draft pick?
I want Travis Hunter.
You want Travis Hunter? Yes. Oh, because you don't need the QB, so that helps, right?
Nope.
You build around there. Let's see. So Josh Jacobs, a couple more injuries. How about this? And it probably won't make that much of a impact fantasy-wise, but I find it very interesting. Zeke Elliott, disciplinary reasons not going to Atlanta. Dalvin Cook, elevated again, will play, could be significant behind Rico Dowdle, but Fernando, Jerry Jones built this team like he was living in 2020. This would have been a combo of Elliott Cook in 2020. Holy cow. Yes, please. Great news. 2024, not so much. And Jerry Jones like, oh, I wasn't expecting this. Like, well, we all kind of did, Jerry. It's in an emergency. For these emergency running backs, how's Dalvin Cook looking to you?
Personally, I don't want to start him. I'd rather start. I think Dowdle's going to get most of the workload. I think you're going to see Cook kind of get some workload here and there. My only concern is that Cook is going to get end zone workload, and that's my concern because then Dowdle's going to take away points. He's going to take away points from Dowdle.
Right. Yes. So he's out. Let's see. Bub means Kendre Miller to the Saints to IR. No big deal there. Chargers activate DJ Chark from injured reserve. That's interesting. Don't know if he'll play, but he's not much. I'm not too excited about him. Let's see. Ruled out for Sunday. Let's get some other guys. A lot of defensive players. Micah Parsons out again. Lamar Jackson had an injury designation. He will play, no problem. Ty Spears listed out for Sunday's game. Tony Pollard also a bit injured, should play. And they got, who's the backup there? There was like one other random backup.
It was Chestnut, if I'm correct.
Chestnut. I knew it was a fun. I knew it was a fun name. Julius Chestnut. Yes. I'm not rushing to start Julius Chestnut quite yet. What about you?
I think if it comes down to a point where Pollard is officially inactive somehow, some way, and you're in desperate need of a running back, then maybe start Chestnut. But again, that is a big risk.
That's watching. Yeah, that's watching like right down to the wire. And if he doesn't start, oh my.
That's if you're desperate for a running back, which it's been brutal. The running back atmosphere has been brutal this year.
In one league, I had to pick up Dalvin Cook because Fernando, he was the only guy.
Yeah,
that maybe like I'd still have him over Antonio Gibson with the Patriots. Like at least with Cook, there's a little bit of an unknown. Like maybe the other guys we know all that. Yeah. Let's see, Puka looking good for the Rams. He's going to play. Ray Davis, all right, he's looking good. Okay, so there we go. You know what? We got a lot of questions coming. Let's get to hashtag Ask Andy, Shane. All right, so you can get your fantasy football betting questions in, whatever it might be, on X, Twitter, at SickPodBrowns, at AndyMC81, Instagram, at AndyMCSports, at SportsTimeHQ as well for Fernando. And right here in the chat, Rick puts up Joey Chestnut. Yeah, not it said Julius Chestnut. Maybe Joey could run it too. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe. Did you watch that eating competition on Netflix, the one he had with the Japanese guy?
I unfortunately do not have Netflix, but I've watched videos of him, and he's just absolutely insane. I mean, the amount, like the hot dog competition, it's just crazy. It's
I
crazy.
interviewed him once, Fernando, when he's broken his own record like a million times, but a couple years ago, I think it was during COVID when there was like no sports. We're like, let's talk Joey Chestnut. Let's talk eating. We had him on. Interesting guy. We were pretty sure he might have still kind of been drunk when he was talking to us, but he was
drunk on food.
Drunk on like booze after. He said he like drinks like after eating a lot, and I don't know how he has room in his stomach. But his interesting thing was he's like, you end up, but for the amount of food you eat, he's like, whatever I eat, because he does egg eating contests, hot dogs, but whatever, wings. He's like, you smell like that. So he's like, after an egg eating contest, like hard boiled eggs, he said, I was on a plane. He's like, the like sulfur smell was coming out of his pores. And he's like, I was a monster. It was terrible.
Interesting.
So Joey Chestnut, we're looking maybe Julius, not Joey. Let's get to Joseph Rossitano in the chat. What do we got, Joseph? Hey, Andy, who should I start in fantasy in my flex? Pollard, DNP all week, Chubb, Worthy, Eckler, or Etienne. Now, again, Pollard is expected to play. You're going to have to track it. I think without Ty Spears out of that group, for me, I still might go Pollard because you got Mason Rudolph. They're not going to want him throwing too much. If healthy, I would go with Pollard. What do you think, Fernando?
Pollard's a good shout, but I think I'm going to actually have to go with Xavier Worthy. He's gotten 16 targets the last 2 weeks. Yeah, you can say he hasn't been all that relevant in fantasy, but targets is targets. And even with Hopkins in there, he was still getting targets. He's got a very favorable matchup against Tampa Bay. And this is a prediction that I've had all week. I know it's a primetime game, usually sometimes low scoring, but I think it could be a shootout here. I think this one could be more of a higher up shootout. And I think Xavier Worthy, he's bound to get in the end zone again. He's already gotten in the end zone 3 times. I can see him getting into the end zone again. I'm expecting him to get at least 5 receptions this time, which would be his career high. He hasn't actually had 5 receptions.
I really love the player Xavier Worthy, and my only hesitation is the consistency. But you're right, it absolutely could go off at any time there. Let's see, we got from Rick in the chat here. Got a real one this morning. Josh Allen or Jaden Daniels? Oh, Rick, what a great problem to have. Oh, can I have those problems, please? I think you're gonna be fine no matter what. So we got Washington in Jersey versus the Giants, or Bills, Dolphins with Tua back with shootout potential. Fernando, what are you thinking?
You drafted Josh Allen so high. Can you bench Josh Allen? Last time he did face Miami, it was a tough matchup, and he didn't score a lot of points. I think Jaden Daniels, going second time around against the Giants, he did score about 13 points that last time. But I think Daniels has just been so red hot this season. I really want him to win Rookie of the Year and MVP. I think that'd be great. I think it'd be great to see a rookie to win both. But I'm going Jaden Daniels here.
Sorry, you're going Jaden Daniels. And I got Fernando, I picked him up plus 650 Rookie of the Year right after the draft. Right after the draft. Everyone else saying Caleb Williams. I said, no, Jaden Daniels plus 650. So I'm with you. I hope he
never thought Caleb was that guy.
Me neither. Thank you. Yes, I thought this guy is, he's got talent. He's flashed a little bit, but I thought, no way. Just with the fumbling, the running backwards, getting set. No, I believed in Jaden Daniels much more. I think, Fernando, I gave sort of a comp to Jalen Hurts coming out, where it was everyone was talking about his mobility and athleticism, but people weren't talking about the arm talent enough and overlooked it. They did it for Hurts. They're doing it for Daniels, and Daniels can ball, man. This guy's got a great arm.
Even with a rib injury, he can hit a Hail Mary.
Right? Yeah. Beat the Bears with that. Oh, what a schmuck. That guy's that's an all-timer. Oh, my God. You know what? I'm going to say, Rick, for me, I'm going to go Josh Allen. I'm going to go, again, I think you're probably going to be just fine, no matter which way you go.
I don't think you can go wrong.
No, I'm going to say Josh Allen just because against Miami and Tua I'm hoping we get a couple 40 burgers. You're like, let's light this sucker up. Don't play the deep teams in fantasy. Let's go. I'll say, I'll go Josh Allen. But again, you want to go the other way? I'm not going to be upset about it. Let's bring up a couple of Twitter ones here, or X ones here. Shane, what do we got? Our buddy at Bent Hiff. Andy, who would you start this week? Shakir or Downs? Hashtag Ask Andy. So Shakir for the Bills, Downs for the Colts. So this is interesting, Fernando, because both players are secondary options at receiver. You look down the list. So For the Bills, I think you have to have Coleman and Cooper, then Shakir, but they're spreading the ball around. For the Colts, Pittman, and then Downs. So I think Downs is a little bit higher on the food chain. Flacco's going to be pumped that he's starting and slinging it. I'm going to say Josh Downs here today.
Yeah, I think I'm going to also agree with that. Josh Downs. I think if we talked about maybe Anthony Richardson starting, maybe I'd lean a little Shakir, but I'm all in on Downs.
Your prime time. Oh, this is a Sunday nighter too. Yeah, we got Colts Vikings. That could be fun with Sam Darnold as well. I got Sam Darnold starting in one of my leagues as well. My God, instead of Jordan Love.
Back. TJ Hawkinson's back.
Oh yeah, Hawkinson's back. Yes. Oh, let's go. I love it. Okay, let's bring up a couple more. I think we got a couple more, Shane. We got from Puda Mike. And remember, get your questions in at SportsTimeHQ, at Andy MC81, at SickPod Browns. 1 PPR, need to start 2. Puka, McConkey, Cooper, Hopkins, Wan'Dale Robinson, or Ferguson. I know it's a lot to choose from. So in PPR here, I think if we break this down, Fernando, McConkey versus the Browns, Denzel Ward is back out of concussion protocol. He's kind of been that de facto one. Browns have been able to shut down number ones before if Denzel's in there. I expect that one maybe to be a little bit more run heavy. So I'm going to say Puka and Cooper, with the caveat being we saw Cooper catch a touchdown week 1 with the Bills, and then the next game didn't do too much. So I'm going to say Puka and Cooper.
I think Puka is the must start here. Out of all of these, you have to start Puka. I know the injury, there's a concern there. I think you just got to monitor that injury. If it comes down to he can't start, your only other option would be Hopkins out of all these scenarios because of all the other players being played. I think Ferguson too, but I'd lean more Hopkins. But if I had to choose 2, Puka and Wan'Dale Robinson. I mean, the guy's just been getting targets after targets.
Yep. He has. You're right. And the interesting stat, I'm sure you saw this, where like Daniel Jones hasn't thrown a touchdown at home since like the 2022-2023 season. That's outrageous.
Crazy.
That's kind of my only concern here because Daniel Jones just isn't good.
He just gets the receptions. PPR, he only needs the receptions.
You know what? You're right. If it's PPR, if he's catching 9 balls and can eclipse 100, we're feeling good there. Okay. I think we got another one up there for Twitter, hashtag Ask Andy. Stephen McMahon at the flex and uses the arm. PPR, start Olave or Tyrone Tracy Jr. So Tracy, we go back to that Giants. Singletary's in as well. Could be a bit of a timeshare. It looks like Tracy's the bit more dynamic one. And Olave, with the injury stuff going on and Derek Carr back, I'm thinking maybe Olave here versus the Panthers. That's a good matchup versus the Panthers.
It's crazy to think that Tyrone Tracy is being questioned to start over Olave.
I know.
I mean, it's crazy. We didn't even know who he was until really after the draft. I'm going to go with Olave, and I know you mentioned the committee possibility of Tracy and Singletary. Singletary was my guy this past season. I thought he was going to get really the biggest workload. Injury concerned him. Then Tracy came in. He became a star-studded guy. So Singletary worth a single penny now, but give me Olave.
Yeah, I got a share of Singletary. I'm a little disappointed with it, but, let's see. So we got one in the chat there, I believe, from Rick. What do we have? Jeremy McNichols. Is he worth starting this week for the Washington Commanders? We've seen this guy pop in week 4 and 5. 3 touchdowns combined those 2 weeks. Nothing since then. That was, I believe, when Eckler was out. I would say that is a bit of a desperation play.
Yeah.
At this point, Fernando, I wouldn't be reaching for it. Like, again, if you're going to have an empty slot at running back, then I guess. But I'm not too excited about that play this week.
Yeah, this is like Hail Mary. You need someone, and you're hoping Jeremy McNichols is the guy to give you something. But I don't know if I'd start him anywhere.
Ooh, and Rick says in the chat, I got him, McNichols, that is, anytime TD on Friday for $450, reduced to $187. So you got him at plus $450. Heck, you got him at a good price, and it's dropping. You never know with those type of change of pace guys, right? We see weird things all the time. Guy at the goal line, could happen.
It's like,
fantasy-wise.
Sorry, I was just gonna say it's like Hasty for the Patriots the other day. I mean,
Jamichael,
he scored,
yeah.
He just scored a touchdown, and everyone was like, "Why isn't it Stevenson or Gibson or whatnot?"
Yeah, Like what are you doing? So it could. He said, yeah, 220. Oh, down to 220 from 450. Okay, that's not bad.
Still good.
That's pretty good. Now we're looking at some other plays here, some other start sits. Any other ones really jump out to mind to you, Fernando, just in general that you're liking this week?
I want to say, I know a lot of people. I know tight ends have been here up and down, and I know a lot of people like myself have been waiting for Hawkinson to come out from IR. Now that he's starting, now is the question: do you start him? I think
in the first game back. How is he eased in? That's the question.
That's my concern, and I think you have to bench him the first week. Week one of his season, you have to bench him. You can't start him, but by all means, if he pops off, you have to. He's a must start for the rest of the season. I think he will be back to his original form. It's just going to take a little progress for him. It's going to take some time.
Yeah, this isn't Madden. You can't expect the guy to pop right back in and be at 100% and cooking. The tight ends, the last few weeks, Fernando, have actually been pretty interesting. Like, we're getting real production. Like, Cade Otton for Tampa Bay is a must start.
Yeah, he very much is. I mean, he's gonna be a league winner off the waivers because of the fact of the injuries in Tampa.
It is. Sam Laporta's been getting a little bit more comfortable. Finally, Travis.
It's because of Jameson Williams. It's because of Jameson Williams.
Yeah, because he's out. How long was that? Was that
2 games? So
2 games. Is this the second game?
Yeah. So my only concern is if he doesn't get suspended for any further or anything doesn't come up, I want to see Laporta's production after Williams comes back. Because if Williams comes back and Laporta is irrelevant again, then I don't think you can start Laporta for the rest of the season unless Williams is out.
Yeah. It seems to be trending that way. Certainly. How about a couple of Cleveland Browns who, lo and behold, anybody not named Deshaun Watson a quarterback, you're getting it done. David Njoku, stud, and Cedric Tillman, one of the hottest waiver wire ads this week. Fernando, I got 2 autographed jersey patch rookie cards of Cedric Tillman. I was bullish. He was not good at the start of the year. You replace him with Jameis Winston. The guy's got 3 touchdowns in 2 games. We can start both of them, I think.
I completely agree. And Stefanski, I don't think, is the play caller anymore. He gave up his duties
to Ken Dorsey. The funny thing is, though, Fernando, this is the confusing thing for Browns fans, is you brought in Ken Dorsey, they say, to tailor the offense to Deshaun Watson. Yet Kevin Stefanski was calling the plays. Deshaun Watson gets injured. They switch to Ken Dorsey.
Yeah.
Who you have Jameis Winston, who's more apt to run the Kevin Stefanski offense. Dorsey's calling plays that is the Kevin Stefanski offense. So I don't know why they just don't have Stefanski doing it now, but it worked last week. We got the win. It's very confusing, but whatever it is, the play action is back. That's going to help a Nick Chubb eventually. That's helping David Njoku and Cedric Tillman get open. It is a very tough defense though against the Chargers this week. They're allowing the fewest points, just 13 points per game on average. So that's tricky.
I think they're going to break it this week. My prediction, you had 17-14 for the Browns. I do have the Browns winning this week.
Okay.
I have the Browns winning 27-24.
Let's go.
And I had Cedric Tillman as my waiver wire out of the week as well. And I've been plugging him in as a start everywhere I can. Phenomenal. I actually had there was a question about DJ Moore and whether or not you can start him. He's been so irrelevant, so inconsistent.
Yeah.
I actually picked Elijah Moore to start over DJ Moore.
Oh, wow.
I'm fine with that. You can tell me it's a bold take or whatnot, but I think Jameson Winston and the offense looks 10 times better than Watson. And I think this could be another Joe Flacco season. Like you mentioned earlier, before I got on, you mentioned how you guys have to win if you guys want a playoff potential chance. And I think if you guys win here, I think you guys are looking for the playoffs.
Oh boy, Fernando, your lips to God's ears, please. We need this. And you know what? You're right. Elijah Moore look relevant, especially in PPR. Right? Look, the more I think of it, that's not a crazy take at all. DJ Moore has been very inconsistent. You're spreading the ball around, and Tillman's a go-to. Remember, folks, Tillman was drafted in the 3rd round by the Browns, but the word was if that ankle injury didn't happen, that was a 1st-round talent, big body, 50-50 ball guy. He's getting more reps. He's feeling comfortable. Winston's finding him. So him and Njoku in the end zone, you can for the first time in quite a while, we can stack Browns players in your fantasy lineup here.
It's going to be great to see. I really hope that your Browns win.
Oh, me too. God, please.
Fernando, man. Chance for that number 1 pick.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Go get your Travis. Or who is it? Travis Hunter?
Travis Hunter, yeah.
Travis Hunter. Yeah. Fernando, man, you do such great work. You want some great fantasy content. Make sure you're checking out Sports Time HQ. Tell people where they can find you, when. Plug your stuff.
Yeah, we do our podcast every Tuesday live on YouTube, and it's at 12 p.m. Eastern time. Again, where you can find it at Sports Time HQ. I got my two co-hosts, Gary and Keith, that are always on with me, and we talk ball all the time. If you can't go on YouTube, you can't watch it live, we got the Apple Podcast and we got Spotify. That's on right after the show. And it's got a breakdown of where you can find all the segments on the waiver wire ads, which times you can listen to them and everything. And again, Sports Time HQ, that's the tag that you can go find me anywhere.
I love it. You know what, Fernando? We got one more last minute question. Let's get to it before you jump off, from Gary in the chat here. Start 3. If Puka doesn't play, it won't matter. But AJ Brown, Marvin Harrison Jr., Puka, Tillman, Marvin in a tough spot with Jalen Johnson drawing his coverage. I love Marvin Harrison Jr., though. I'd say 8. If I got to start 3, AJ Brown. So let's pretend Puka doesn't play. I think he will, but let's pretend. So then it's then we got all 3 of them. So if Puka's in there, I would say AJ Brown, Puka, and Tillman. I do love Marvin Harrison, but the coverage is tight today. So I think if Puka does play, I would go a little bit Tillman over Harrison for this week. Overall, I like Marvin Harrison Jr. a ton, though.
A guy that was drafted, I think, as the wide receiver 7, and you're being talked at benching him for a waiver wire ad, Cedric Tillman. Give me Tillman, AJ Brown, and Puka.
Let's go. Wait, this is how this fantasy world is this year, man. It's crazy. It's all over the place. It's nuts. Yeah, look, the thing is, especially this time of year, we're at week 9, you cannot have an ego in fantasy football. You drafted Harrison, and we're not saying drop him. You're going to play Harrison more times than not. He's tremendous. But you have to take the ego out. Okay, I drafted. Well, you pick this guy off of waivers. Go for the win, right? Don't be proud with it.
Yeah, I mean, I have someone who is currently 8-0, and they had the 101 pick.
Ooh.
Guess who they drafted at the 101?
Christian McCaffrey.
No, and that is why they're 8-0. They drafted CD Lamb.
Wow. Really? Yep. And I'm sure people were like, are you nuts?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Everybody thought they were crazy for taking CD at 101.
It worked. Unbelievable. Wow. And Gary says, thanks, fellas. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Let's get that win. All right, Fernando. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for jumping on. Appreciate it.
Good luck with the Browns. Thanks for having me on.
Let's go. We'll talk to you soon. There he goes, Fernando Geronimo from Sports Time HQ. One of my favorite fantasy guys out there. Tremendous individual. Love Fernando. I'm getting pumped about this Browns game. What a fresh feeling for us, right? Jameis Winston could throw like 3 picks. It could happen easily against that defense. But it's fun. It's loose. Let's just go sling the damn ball and have some fun, right? Let's do this thing. You know what? Let's get a little parlay party going here, kids. And so I'm going to do a Browns specific one here. Then we'll add on to this one. All right. We had a 15-legger last week. Obviously didn't hit. We're going to have some fun with it. My short one, and we can add this in or not. Browns money line. I'm taking that straight up over the Chargers. I think you can win that. J.K. Dobbins, anytime touchdown score. We mentioned and talked about how Harbaugh's going to run the ball. Wants to run the ball. J.K. Dobbins, former Ohio State Buckeye, right? Coming as close to home as you can in the NFL. Dobbins in there. I think anytime touchdown makes a lot of sense. And David Njoku, anytime touchdown. Winston's finding him. Big tight end target. How about it? Throw the giant tight end who set a high school high jump record, the football in the end zone. Makes sense. We pop all 3. That's a plus 1,193 $10 bet. Gets us 119.35. Let's add a few more there. If you guys have any bets or anything, pop it in the chat as well. Oh, Rick says Njoku pops off today. Yeah, he does, brother. Yeah, he does. Let's go. Couple more adds to that. New England versus Tennessee. For the Tennessee Titans, you got Mason Rudolph, who's just a big square blockhead idiot. No. And they're saying he's going to win with Drake May back. I'm getting plus 140 money on the Patriots. Like, the Patriots stink too. But I'm not buying the Titans. I'm taking the Pats. I'm popping that in right now on the DraftKings Sportsbook. New Orleans and Panthers. Oh, yeah, I'm not liking that money line. Nothing there. Denver Broncos, Ravens. Ravens, 9.5-point favorites. I don't know about that. That seems a little aggressive. Broncos defense has been playing well. Bo Nix, and we saw the Ravens secondary can be exploited. I'm going to take the Broncos to cover. I think the Ravens will win. I'll take the Broncos to cover at that 9.5. Vegas Bengals. Yeah. That 45.5 over under. Maybe we're thinking under here a little bit. Because Vegas isn't scoring. Fernando's in the chat. Sports Time. Let's go Titans. You want the Titans instead? I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna take the under 45.5 in Bengals Raiders. Ooh, over set 49.5. Bills favored by 5.5. I think I'm gonna stay away from that one. Yeah, that 40, like I want it to be over, but I don't think it's a big enough payoff to do it. Falcons, Cowboys. Cowboys are just messy. Falcons are 3-point favorites here. 51.5 points. I'm going to take the under 51.5. I don't think the Cowboys can score that much. I'm going to take the under on that. Washington Giants. We got Bears, Cardinals. The games this week, there's not a whole lot of Jags, Eagles. Could maybe do an anytime touchdown, AJ Brown. Rams, Seahawks. That's interesting. 1.5-point favorites are the Rams as road dogs. Seahawks could pull that out. Packers, Lions. That's the main eventer. So how do we feel? If it's 2.5 points, Love is a game time decision. I think we got to have. You're getting better money on the 2.5 for the Lions than a straight money line. So I'm going to say 2.5. Lions cover that. Indian Vikings with Flacco fever. Now, Vikings have lost a couple in a row. I think they're in for a bounce back game. Tampa Bay Chiefs. 9.5 points, Chiefs. That seems high. Don't you think? Now, they did get beat. Give me Falcons and the under, says Fernando. Rams winning. Ooh. Rams winning 31-29. Falcons and the under. You know what? Let's I'll do that. Oh, that's what I did. Okay. Falcons and the under. Tampa, Buccaneers did get thumped by the Ravens, but the Chiefs offense, they've been winning, obviously. But by that much, I think I'm going to take Baker and the Bucks to cover that. Cover 9.5. That's high. That's pretty high. And that's the Monday nighter. Okay. So what do we got? Oh, baby. We got 9. Okay, we got 9-legger here. With all those, we put $10 on it. $10 on that, we win $7,461.65. How about it? Who's with me? 9-legger parlay party. $10, 7,461.65. So the ticket again, Cleveland money line, anytime touchdowns for J.K. Dobbins and David Njoku. Patriots money line, Broncos to cover the 9.5. Under 45.5 Raiders Bengals. Under 51.5 Cowboys Falcons. Lions to cover the 2.5. Buccaneers to cover the 9.5. $10, 7,461.65 is the payout. And you can make all those wagers on the DraftKings Sportsbook app, which is an official betting partner of the NFL. It's the number one spot for touchdowns, to bet touchdowns, folks. If you're new to DraftKings, try betting on something simple like player to score a touchdown. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook and make your pick. Just mentioned a couple there. Could be Njoku, could be Cedric Tillman for the Browns, could be whoever you like. But there's a reason to get your touchdown dance ready because nobody bets touchdowns like the DraftKings Sportsbook. And you bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly using code 6sports. So score big with the DraftKings Sportsbook, the number one place to bet touchdowns. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code 6sports. That's code 6sports for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball.
All right, there we go. Question from Rick in there on the Jameis Winston. The only thing I have is I don't have any over specifically. It's just if Jameis Winston throws an interception, yes, minus 198, no, plus 150. So I guess over, I guess that would be 1. So I guess it would be minus 198 is what I'm seeing. I don't see alternate options for the interceptions yet. I think I hope he doesn't. But Jameis is fearless. I think against that Chargers defense, I think he throws a pick. And you know, that can be okay. Come right back. Right? The team has confidence now. The Browns have confidence in Winston. So you can throw one and it's not a killer. So that's what I think. And Fernando says only one Chiefs has more than one score win 2018 over the 49ers. Interesting. That's why, I'm definitely taking the under on that Tampa game. And Baker can sling it too. He doesn't care. Baker loves those big games. Him against Patrick Mahomes. Replay. They've had a couple rematches. Remember for that huge college game years ago? Yeah. One's coming for Jameis, but that's okay because maybe the Browns can get one on Justin Herbert, who's been very protective of the football, by the way. Very conservative. He's been very efficient, let's say, as Harbaugh eases him back in from managing that high ankle sprain. So very interesting there. There you go, folks. You know what? That was a hell of a show. I had a great time. Fernando was great having on. Chatting all your questions. You guys brought it today. Always appreciate that. We are going to hopefully be feeling good, have a post-game reaction with a Browns win and Jameis Winston eating another dub. A big old bite out of that. Put some stadium mustard on it. And then we'll be back Tuesday show where we're going to do a stadium mustard shirt giveaway. We're going to give away a stadium mustard shirt that comes in red and black. Our buddies at Stadium Mustard. Hopefully have a good time there. So enjoy week 9. Let me know. Hey, any more fantasy football questions? Get them in. Hashtag Ask Andy on X at SickPodBrowns, at AndyMC81, Instagram at AndyMCSports. Of course, you can pop it right in here in the chat. Click subscribe, notification, share the show too. More people in the chat, the merrier. I love interacting with you guys. So get those in. Thank you to Fernando Geronimo of SportsTimeHQ for joining me, producer Shane, and to all of you. You've been watching the Sick Podcast. And as always, go Browns!
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.